The evil empire fell after the death of the emperor, bringing the rise of a small rebellion kingdom, though it could hardly keep up after the intense rate of casualties during the war. The world emerged from its darkest era, the aftermath a stark reminder of the bloodshed and loss endured. The tyrannical regime of the emperor had finally been vanquished, leaving the remaining humans, elves, and dwarves to rebuild what once stood as the majestic Seven Realms. However, the devastation wrought upon the continent left only remnants of its former glory, now tinged with shadows of destruction and malevolence. In order to prevent another devastating war, the three great races made the decision to separate and leave the once thriving cities abandoned. Individuals returned to simpler ways of life, living on small farms or pursuing fishing and mountain dwelling. The memory of the past conflict loomed large, shaping the future of the world and its inhabitants. The era where humans, elves, and dwarves reigned came to an end as the Second Age carried on without any noteworthy events for many long years, slowly stacking its numbers higher and higher.
In the distant west lies a mysterious continent unknown to many in Menouer. It is a place consumed by darkness, where dangerous lands are home to eerie creatures. While it was once a paradise, now only remnants remain. The 12 gods of Garadas once battled fiercely in the lands of Lamnadras, leaving behind a legacy of destruction. After a prolonged battle, the once beautiful land lay in ruins. Millennia later, life has gradually returned to the now desolate region. The collapse of the Menouer Empire had led refugees to seek sanctuary in the uncharted lands of Lamnadras. The followers of the Tyrant Emperor Osmer were not allied with the others, instead choosing to seek refuge across the seas to avoid their inevitable demise. It appeared to be a desperate attempt to save their cult from destruction. The remaining survivors, dubbed the last Menouerians, were tainted by the hatred and corruption that had characterized Osmer's rule. Despite their lack of virtue, they had managed to outlive their leaders, now abandoned and feeble. Despite facing years of hardship and struggle, they eventually overcame their inner demons and persevered, giving rise to a new generation of Menouerians in the lands of Lamnadras. This marked the beginning of their promising future in their newfound homeland. A kingdom emerged under the rule of a wealthy and charming queen whose true intentions were far from noble. Despite her charismatic facade, she was selfish and greedy, surpassing even the notorious Osmer in malevolence. The queen cruelly punished her subjects for minor transgressions, deriving pleasure from their suffering by publicly humiliating and even executing them. She ruled with a harsh iron fist, but to her dismay, the people despised her tyrannical ways. As the city grew in size, the population outnumbered the ruling class, leading to a brutal civil war. The queen mercilessly crushed the rebellion, ordering the execution of prisoners and randomly hanging civilians for any perceived slight. Her reign of terror only fueled the flames of dissent within her own kingdom. The kingdom was fed up with her words and forced her to take refuge in her castle. Once she was trapped inside with her people surrounding her, they stormed the castle and set it on fire. The evil queen's tyrannical reign over the Menouerians ended with her demise, leaving the once desperate empire in ruins. The tyrants of the world were believed to have lost all hope with her downfall. A new monarchy emerged, christening themselves Mevroue, a name symbolizing the birth of a vibrant civilization. Nobody in Menouer had any knowledge of the new kingdom in the west because they were unaware of the happenings in Lamnadras. The kingdom has witnessed the unexpected ascension of Cain, a king of mysterious origins who named himself as the ruler after the passing of the queen. Known as Cain, son of fire, his rapid rise to power remains unparalleled as he takes his place as the new monarch of Mevroue. He commissioned the construction of a grand city centered around a lavish palace where he could govern his realm with authority, yet he chose to use his influence for benevolence rather than exploitation. His efforts improved the lives of his subjects, enhancing their living standards and diet. Over time, the city expanded into a bustling metropolis, defined by expansive canals and formidable stone fortifications. After the city was successfully protected behind the towering Mevroue wall, the king's focus shifted towards strengthening his rule. Over the span of decades, he insisted his subjects obey him and build a formidable army under his command to solidify his power. The army, once raised, brought only suffering to the people as Cain's rule turned tyrannical, demanding their obedience and turning them into slaves. However, this oppression led to a civil war erupting rapidly. The civil war unfolded within the city as rebels operated clandestinely in the sewers and makeshift camps, resisting the king's oppressive rule to aid the marginalized. Despite their efforts, the rebels were ultimately overpowered by the king's forces and met their fate on the gallows, one by one. The civil war lasted for years without the king suffering any losses. However, as the death toll continued to rise due to his actions, he became consumed by madness. After witnessing countless executions and acts of violence, the king ultimately took his own life by leaping from the tallest tower. His reign ended with his death, leaving uncertainty about whether the next king would bring about positive change. To discover the fate of the Western Kingdom following King Cain's downfall, be sure to read Menouer Darkness Rises, available on Amazon. This book promises to provide you with unparalleled satisfaction and an unmatched reading experience unlike any other you have had.